What is up, everybody? What's up, Chad? I see you in here. Chad, what's going on, bud? A little bit of delay,
Surprise
maybe.
stream. I was expecting it.
Yeah, 2:30, man. 2:30. We're a little bit early. A little bit
Oh, it's
early.
Tuesday though.
Yeah, we're doing it anyway. We're doing it anyway. We decided to start doing Tuesdays on Twitter, and then obviously, I'm gonna say the other T1 because people might be like, "You're dead. You're breaking the rules." But yeah, Monday, YouTube. Tuesdays, Twitter. Wednesdays, we're back to Twitch. Thursdays, obviously, if it's community game day, we're going to be on Twitch, but Spaces on Twitter again. And then we're going to be also doing pre-recorded videos where we give you guys our thoughts and insights about certain things happening out there in the crypto landscape, specifically the Cosmos ecosystem. But we're going to do that in kind of like a pre-recorded kind of thing. So yeah, we're hitting it hard. But other people are pulling back. I decided, you know what? Let's go. Let's go. 2:30 opens up a lot more time and space for me. So I was like, let's go. Let's go. You know,
Awesome. I'm
might as
slacking. I
well.
didn't know that.
Yeah, I appreciate you jumping on to talk about Balance DAO on the Juno Network. I just want to have kind of an open AMA. Hopefully, I do have confirmation that Mo, who helped me design it with the smart contract side of things from Raccoon, should be joining us as well. And so hopefully he does. I really would like him to be able to come in and answer some of the more technical things because, I'm the brainchild of the theory, the concept, the overall arc, of it all. But like, as far as the details in the smart contracts and other stuff, like obviously would be nice to have the actual devs to help me bring this to light, join us on the show. So hopefully we'll have him jump on. I've actually shot out quite a bit of other invites to people. And again, this is always going to be an open invite kind of place to where if you guys want to ask questions, just come in and shoot me a message or say it in the Twitter stream or twi- um, Twitch stream. We'll try to get to them, man. Definitely will. That's what we're just trying to be open about this whole concept, this whole theory, this whole thing that is balance. If you guys would, though, before we get into it, before we discuss a couple of things, like whatever social media platform you're on, like the content, reshare it, subscribe, do all the the cringy stuff that people ask you to do. Really would help out quite a bit. We're just trying to get information out there. But today's video, guys, I do, even though we have a lot that we could talk about, Chad, I do want to kind of just keep it to balance now, because I'm trying to get as much light on this as possible here in the next week or two, especially leading up into my vacation, which I'm going to Mexico on Saturday. But I like to get this information out there to as many people as possible so that they can like digest it, they can chew it up, take it for what it is, right? Like, whatever. And then give constructive or positive feedback. It doesn't matter. I think all I hate when people say that actually, Chad. I think all feedback's good. Just depends on how you actually take that. So I'm prepared for it all. I do know that there's going to be a plethora of questions. Chad has shot me a million questions already, and I love him for it. Like I absolutely love it. This is why we want these AMAs to happen because it's nothing. Anybody that says, what I've been getting kind of crazy about, Chad, is all these people that like just act like they know it all, or they have everything possibly answered and licked before, before it's even out there. Like I'm so sick and tired of listening to that kind of crap. I'll admittedly say, I don't know. This is a work in progress, man. Like, like I think we have it covered, but like I'm not even gonna act like I know it all. But yeah, let's get on into it. Let's get on into it. Let me share with you guys. And Chad, please chime in whenever possible because you actually, if I can, let me do you a favor because I thought that was a great personal write up that you did on your own about what you think balance or how like after I told you what it was, how you perceived it and how you explained it in your own words. Let me try to find that real quick, or if you have the link,
Yeah, let
please
me
feel
go ahead
free to
and
share it.
start talking. I'll find it.
Okay, let me see here.
I'll send it to you in Discord, or where do you want it?
I think actually I want to share it on. Let me. Yeah, I think I got it right here. Actually, I got it. I
Okay.
got it. Let me share it. Let me share. Let me bring this up real quick because I
So
thought this was
hopefully it
a
was spot on, and you were explaining it well to me. So hopefully everybody else will be able to understand it as well as I did.
hopefully. Yeah, I'm hoping that's what this is for, right? Hopefully. And I do want to actually before we get into this, I got to figure out how to screen share things. I do want to say, um, like upfront, right? Like I'm not trying to be totally like with what's recently been happening within parts of the Juno ecosystem. Like I do want the people that are involved still within the Juno network, whatever group that you're in and stuff like that. Like I'm not trying to be aggressive. Um, I just I don't think this is working against anybody, per se. And so, like, I don't see the need for me to wait on anything. And honestly, I'm not. I can't wait because I will be with family for the next week, and I don't want this to get pushed back for no good reason. You know what I mean? Or like not shared with everybody for no good reason. Because I think this, at least for me, and I will say this, um, like for myself, this whole effort is genuine. Like there's no benefit to me in doing this. And so like I just want to say this real quick. There is no benefit to me in doing this. There is like I'm not trying to fight with anybody in doing this. I'm not trying to shed a weird light or anything. This is genuinely my answer, my what I'm bringing to the table to help steer Juno in the right direction. So if anybody thinks differently, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but that's not the case. This is like a genuine effort to really not build, but like I guess I don't want to say rebuild either. Some people are like, "Oh, you're trying to build something on sand, quicksand," and I was like, "I'm not like it's not like that." I think people, and for rightfully so, are kind of jaded in what's been happening throughout just the Cosmos ecosystem, not specifically Juno, but yeah. So I want to put that out there. Like I'm in a Juno working group. I'm very much in talks with core people, core one developers, validators. It doesn't matter. Like I'm very much in talk with, and I know, trust me, guys, I know. But even though people have asked me not to, and I've actually thought about it, and I've actually kind of agree. I've just come to the conclusion that I can't sit on this. I don't want to sit on this. I don't think it needs to be sat on. I want to share the thought process with as many people as possible, so that we can get the ball rolling and not do anything. Like I'm just sick and tired of nothing happening, and so like that's where I'm coming from before we get into all of that. Like hopefully again, I know Chad knows because he lets me rant to him quite a bit, but hopefully you guys like it translates and you guys kind of get it. Again, don't just take my word for it. Watch people's actions, even my own. Like it'd be kind of hypocritical for me to say just trust me. I'm a talking head on YouTube, but like don't trust me. Do whatever you want. Like just hold me accountable, stay on me, whatever. Like hopefully you guys will just see, right? Like anyway, I just wanted to say that. I cut the rambling. Let me go and share with you guys what Chad put out there. And Chad, if you don't mind, could you reread this, or if you want to reshare it on your screen and then reread it in your own words? Like it was your tweet, so I kind of want to let you have
Oh,
that.
go ahead. You can do it.
Okay, so Chad says here about the nuts and bolts how balance style works. I'm sorry, I always get kind of weird when I'm reading somebody else's thread too. There was no airdrop for balance. If you want the token, you have to swap your Juno for it at balance. And again, it's just the balancedao.zone website. Um, he goes on to telling you guys after you swap your Juno, 80% of the Juno is burnt via a smart contract following Juno's existing inflation schedule in reverse. The remaining 20% will be staked into a multi-sig wallet controlled by elected community members. The Oh, we got Mo's. Hold on one second. Mo, what's going on, bud?
Hey man, how's it going?
Hey. Real quick, I'm just kind of giving Chad's general gist when he posted his thread about like explaining what Balance DAO is. But I'm glad you could join us, man.
Yeah, happy to be here, man. I just saw your message, I think 10 minutes later, so
That's all good.
Yeah.
You guys know I can rant for about 10 minutes before we even get into anything anyway. So you didn't miss anything. But anyway, like general gist, we'll read this. We'll finish reading this, right? Just give you guys the general gist and kind of we'll get into the nuts and bolts. Like Chad said here, the 20% will be split 10% going to a Juno development fund and 10% to a balanced developer fund. No Juno that is staked will be spent, only staking rewards. At the end of Juno inflation schedule, your portion of the staking Juno or the staked Juno will be airdropped back to your wallet. And that is per your weight in balance at the end of it all. The staking rewards for the balanced developer fund will be swapped via smart contract burning 80% once once again, and the remaining balance tokens will be used to fund the multi-sig wallet. Again, there's a lot of moving parts, so again, you guys might actually be getting kind of lost with how quickly I'm reading this, but we'll run through it piece by piece in here in a little bit. In summary, what balance does is it burns Juno, causing a long-term price shock due to lowering supply of Juno, when really we're actually just swapping the valuation to another token. Also, it funds two multi-sig wallets that will not need governance to use the funds via Juno Network, giving a different way of supporting. Again, that's kind of like, I hate threads sometimes because you got to kind of condense things and not really like get into the details. But again, what he's saying by that, guys, is we're creating options, right? Like there's going to be other options for people to partake in or to utilize going forward without having to worry about putting up a traditional, right? Because we're trying to innovate a traditional proposal on the Juno network. So just another way to provide options, projects and or marketing project. Maybe go back.
They
Projects and or
connect to each other. Those last two threads.
the words. Yeah, I just realized that it's an ongoing sentence. Also, it funds two multi-sig wallets that will not need governance to use the funds via Juno Network, given a different way of supporting projects and or marketing project that the community sees fit via the multi-sig. So again, guys, maybe core team, maybe the overall Juno traditional, proposal doesn't work out, but maybe the community says, hey, actually, like, no, let's give it a little risk. Let's give it a little go, right? Like we'll support it if you come here. Since Balance is using Juno's market value and the limited supply of Balance is 21 million, mimicking and kind of a nod to Bitcoin. We were not creating value out of thin air. We're just using the established value and transferring it to the community, creating a balance, if you will, within the network, right? Community, again, guys, this is supposed to be a community chain, bringing it full circle, bringing power and both socially and financially back to the community so that they can be involved, they can be in control, and that we're creating options within the Juno network. There's a little bit more caveats to that. As we've kind of like talked this out over the past week or so, like there's been a lot of great ideas that has come from those talks that I think are really, really cool. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Just a little bit, a little wink, wink, nod, nod, like talking about like the problem that we're seeing in proof of stake networks in the Cosmos ecosystem, where the same token that is used for governance and staking and transactions is all like supposed to function well for all of those rows. And we're seeing that can't be the case, right? Like the cash, the thing that we use for transactions, the things that we use for securing the chain, the things that we use to vote with can't all be the same thing. Like it just, I don't know. That's just my humble opinion. We're seeing how that's working out. Like it's not really working out all that well. What if Balance? This is something Timmy came up with. But what if Balance was the transaction that we use or we agreed upon to use within the Juno network instead of Juno? Like that would really solve some of the issues that we have. I don't know if it's perfect, but like let's talk about it, right? And then
There goes that on that tank. Maybe your low and medium transaction fees, Juno, and then your high is an automatic swap feature that the user that use it goes to Balance.
I love it. It could be it could be a lot of those different things, right? It really could. Again, that was just a thought process, right? Like the main takeaway for that is like, just my humble opinion. I don't know if Juno should also be the same thing that we're expecting to use to complete these transactions, or yeah, you guys get what I'm saying. Let me bring up the Balance page right here. But yeah, obviously you guys are privileged to it. We've talked many times before. Mo, when I first came to you about this idea, I guess I would like to first start like as a developer, as somebody who's helped me write the smart contract to this, as somebody who's involved into this. Like obviously you see the thought process. You've extrapolated out. You kind of see where I'm coming from with this. I know this is kind of like a loaded question, but please speak off the cuff and be very, very blunt and like as fair as you possibly can. Give me your feedback on this, man. Like, tell me your initial thoughts and and the same things that you told me to the public, and then like if you will also tell me the good things that you saw out of this.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think the first thing that's worth mentioning is when you see like a token getting burned, sometimes it can raise some like red flags depending on what's the intention behind it. So that was the first thing. I'm like, okay, we're gonna burn like 80%. Is this a red flag? People are gonna be like, okay, we're just gonna burn the whole supply and wish there's gonna be some value. Because, in my opinion, like even it should be something more organic, let's say. So when there's more transaction on the network, when there's more people, the fees for transaction and the natural flow of the cost of doing transaction on the network is going to increase. So it's very simple. It's offer and demand. There's more demand, so the fees are going to increase. The token's going to pick up in value, and that's it. So I see burning as some sort of creating an artificial way of the offer and demand. But I'm still debating. I'm not 100% sure of what I'm saying, but like sometimes burning for me, it's like a red flag. So that's the first thing.
It kind of feels like a band-aid, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's something artificial, let's say.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, when we see like there's gonna be like 20% that's gonna be reinvested in like projects and people building within the ecosystem, I think that's a very good thing. And the other thing that I just thought of is when you said, um, so just correct me if I'm wrong, but what could be cool is, let's say that you have a 10% that goes into a Juno development fund, and then someone asks for some money, a project and stuff like that. There could be some vote towards if this project should receive some sort of grant, and that's it. But what could be even better is at it, like Balance DAO could be like some sort of a launch pad. So if you're
Mhm.
giving, let's say, I don't know, 10, like 1,000 Juno to a project, I would say like 10,000 Juno to a project for them to develop something, then maybe they could like pledge that they will give like, I don't know, their own token or maybe some part of the revenues back into the Balance DAO. So that
Mhm.
way we could like have more of a full circle. Let's say that it goes out and then it comes back in with other kind of stuff. I know I diverged from your question, but that's one idea that I had from what you guys just discussed like 5 minutes ago.
No, yeah. See, I love it when we have these open discussions. We literally force our brains to think it through, right? Like it's literally I've like I said earlier, we've had two open discussions so far, and it was kind of off the cuff, with a few individuals, and like we've already come up with really cool ideas on what balance can actually lead into. Like again, when we started off, we were saying, I don't know, like I don't have all the answers, but I do know we need to address some of the issues that we currently are facing, especially within the Juno network. And this is possibly one of those things that could start that ball rolling in the right direction, right? Like it literally could get into a position where it's like I don't know if I want to like label it as like an investment like entity or whatever, or like an incubator, or maybe even what did you call it earlier? I can't think of the word you just called it earlier. Like a launch pad. I'm sorry, a launch
Yeah,
pad of
yeah,
sorts,
yeah,
right? Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So like it definitely could be. It could be many different things. It definitely could be. This again kind of all comes down into what happens with the community controlled multi-sigs, right? Like this is us just trying to first when we say like when let me actually let me run through this flow chart and kind of explain things, right? And kind of what and why things are structured the way that they're structured. We got to address like the elephant in the room, these airdrop situations where they get spread amongst people who held certain tokens, uh and then this high inflation schedule that we've suffered from. And I'm trying to be vague because, to be very honest with you guys, this concept could actually be applied to a lot of different worthwhile in like tokens or protocols within the Cosmos ecosystem. They all generally suffer from kind of the same issues. It's unfortunate, but it's kind of they all do mimic each other. But these protocols and tokens that have found themselves in similar situations like Juno, where we had this huge airdrop, high inflations, core team members get allocated certain things. There was decisions that were made earlier on by I'm not even trying to get into this whole like pointing fingers things either, but like certain things happen to where certain individuals, whether they're validators, core members, teams or whatnot, got a lot of the power, a lot of the weight distributed to themselves. With the high inflation, that happened. I guess what I'm trying to say is we need to address that high inflation and low value capture that the token currently has suffered from. Like right now, we have a lot of Juno that's in total circulating supply uh, that needs to kind of get flushed out, right? Like it's almost the same scenario as like when the DXY or when the dollar got pumped into the economy, and like we're going through it right now. Like they start this raising of interest rates per se, and I guess you can kind of look at it that way. They raise interest rates to kind of take out all of that money that's floating around and is sitting in people's hands or maybe wallets for this matter. But so the following the Juno inflation schedule in reverse is just trying to help do that. We're trying to take out the total circulating supply that's out there right now that's diluting the true valuation of Juno. And let's be real, there's a lot more caveats to that as well. But we'll address that as we go down this flow chart. Hopefully, it kind of all works hand in hand. But that's what we're doing. So I don't know. This is not the best with Restream, but the Juno token gets sent to the smart contract for balance. When that happens, the following Juno's inflation schedule in reverse, that will burn 80% of the Juno that's swapped because right now, Restream does this funky thing with my mouse, and I'm seeing it live on stream, so I apologize, guys. I don't know what that's all about. I'm going to try not to move around my mouse, I guess, all too much. But yeah, so we're following it in reverse. We're at 20% right now. And so we have to burn 80%. And as that inflation schedule goes forward, I think we're actually close to the next halving for Juno. The smart contract will be updated via our devs, obviously, to stay connected to that inflation schedule that Juno already has. The remaining, like Chad's thread said, the remaining Juno from that swap is going to get split into multi-sig wallets controlled by elected community members throughout the active Juno community. 10% of it's going to go to a Juno development fund. The other 10% is going to go to a community-controlled balanced developer fund. So we're funding two different community-controlled multi-sig wallets or entities, totally separate, totally individual from each other, right? The same people that or the individuals that eventually hopefully do get elected by the community cannot be on both of them, right? You can't be holding dual seats. And for that matter, I'll even say, in my mind, again, this is all up to the community, but I think it would be best that even members within the Juno ecosystem currently that might actually have a position on another multi-sig, like be it you're on the comms sub DAO or the Juno working group or the core team and stuff like that. Like the ideal scenario would be that you don't have people holding seats of power in multiple instances within the same house, right? There could be a little bit of crossover. Again, little caveats to that. It's up to the community to kind of figure this out. I say that, but at the same time, maybe it's a mix. Maybe it's one core member on this one, another core member on the Balance Developer Fund, a Juno working group, two regular Joe Smos in the Cosmos ecosystem that have proven themselves to be here, and then maybe like a comms DAO as well, like so that there's representatives all being represented, but there's no play of power happening in there. There's always kind of like an equilibrium per se. Anyway, I'm kind of ranting, but that's just my thoughts about the multi-sigs. From there, the vested Juno that gets put into the staking, and if you guys remember Spirit of Juno, the staking multi-sig is going to get airdropped once the overall inflation schedule for Juno is reached after the 12 years of its lifespan, right? I think like I said, we're coming up close to, gosh, this is hard to believe, 10 years now. It's coming up close to the second, is it second or third now? Second full halving. So like once that overall inflation schedule is met, eventually those Juno that get sent into those wallet that we're using only the rewards for, those, like Mola was saying, are going to get airdropped back to the holders of Balance via the weight that you hold in Balance at the end of it all, right? So like, again, you need to be a holder, a supporter, of balance and the function of the, and I should say not just balance, but the whole Juno network, in order to receive back that airdrop at the end of it all. So uh, going forward from there, the Juno staking rewards, like I said, are sent back to the balance swap contract. So again, we're staking Juno. The only Juno that gets used is the rewards that we get, and it could be again up to the community or up to like whatever we decide upon that's acceptable. Let's say Wall and I were talking about this. Let's say like we put it in a smart contract to where it automatically does it, and so that we don't have to worry about the multi-sig doing it. Where say every 100 Juno that gets compounded or gets accumulated, that gets swapped automatically back into balance. When that happens, this is where we actually start the cycle, right? The circle cycle within the balance wheel. The Juno staking rewards are sent back to the balance swap contract. It goes through again, the same thing that we showed you guys before. 80% from that gets burnt. The balance that gets obtained from that gets put back into the balance token developer fund. Again, hopefully sitting there being utilized by developers that are wanting to innovate within the Juno ecosystem. So we're doing multiple things with this swap. One, we're taking the overall huge supply that's diluting Juno's market value, I would say. That's just my opinion. Out slowly. We're also creating a value capture with this whole scarcity burn narrative, right? But really, when I keep doing this because really all we're doing is we're swapping the value that the Juno token already has into a new token that could have several different functions. Like I said, we were already spitballing the ideas of like maybe balance is used in some form, some way as the transactional token within the Juno ecosystem, right? Or Juno network. I have another idea as well. But yeah, so
oh, come on, I like it. Tell them.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a bit. So and then on top of that, we're taking care of what recently just happened, which was unfortunate, but like really didn't need to if we had something already like this going on. And I'm not trying to I'm not trying to start wars or paint a bad picture or any individual or not. I'm just stating the facts of the matter, right? Like, oh, excuse me. Unfortunately, in the past, people have made decisions that did not really behoove the entirety of the Juno network. Certain teams, certain efforts were not supported like others were. And so as I'm seeing like I'm tiptoeing around the bush, I should kind of quit it and just say it outright. And again, I just want to say I'm not trying to pull out the sword, axes, or torches. I'm just saying what's already known. Like it seemed like people were being picked and choose as like winners and losers, right? Like we've seen it happen, whether it was, I'll just say it, Gelato, Rack, Hopers, and there was many more, right? Like earlier on, if they didn't get their proposal passed through regular Juno governance, we were just dead in the water, or they were just dead in the water, or anybody was just literally dead in the water because there was no other viable route or option to explore. There really wasn't. We had no other options. It was either the highway or no way. And it was like, okay, so luckily we've had all of those used examples there. Still deploy, still innovate, still push forward, and we're so grateful to see that. Gelato, Rack, Hopers is still working, right? So it was frustrating to see that. And again, it is what it is. I don't want to sit there and bring up the past for any kind of ill intent. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to go forward. We have to address the elephants in the room, and we have to get real with ourselves, right? Like it was unfortunate, but that's what happened. And then we had also things happen that just didn't help as well with the Prop 16, but we'll get into that in a little bit. What I'm trying to get at though is if we had things like this now, where we had community controlled developer funds for people to develop things or innovate within the Juno network, there would have been, I'm not saying it would have, been the answer, because who knows, maybe the community also said, no, screw that, we don't want to support that. But using the example of what happened with Gelato, right? The fees were increased on the Juno network proposal side of things. The overall Juno network said, hey, this makes sense. Let's increase it. But then we saw developers like Gelato, who are working on applications and things within the Juno network, see what they were developing kind of come to a halt because it didn't make sense anymore to keep developing using high gas fees. Like they weren't able to sustain themselves, so they put up a proposal to lower it back down until like things could get a little bit better. And unfortunately, that didn't go through, and so that kind of forced them to take their ball and go play somewhere else. Like right, uh, really, what it came down to was maybe if they had another option to get subsidized or like to turn to, they wouldn't have had to pack up ship and go somewhere else, like they announced, right? They were basically saying if we can't get the transactions down, we need to find a way to get our development subsidized into where we can wait it out until it hopefully does make sense, right? Like maybe we are developing and we find something that is niche that will bring that next push into the Juno ecosystem, but it couldn't happen because there wasn't that other option. Well, here there's several other options. There's the Juno Network Developer Fund that we can utilize, and then there's going to be also the Balance Developer Fund, also helping hopefully entice developers that are wanting to or have been eyeballing what's been going on within Juno Network. Which again, the reason why even people consider it is because it's permissionless. Um, they'll have a viable route to turn to. And so like we need to find a way to incentivize developers. We need to show them like, hey, there's not just this way. There's also you can also turn to us, the community. Like maybe we will take a little bit more risk on approach compared to core one, core two, or like the traditional proposal route that has been set forth for Juno and the rest of these Cosmos ecosystem chains, like proof of stake chains, right? Like if this is always been a community chain where the narrative for Juno has always been like this is the place for people to innovate. This is the place for people to deploy things, test things out, push the boundaries. For what we got in the Juno for the Cosmos ecosystem. If that's always been the case, then we need to find ways to literally incentivize developers to stick here and do that. Because right now, and I'm just calling out the elephant in the room, the social sentiment sucks. It sucks. And if we don't have, and I'm in just about every damn group there possibly can be, I've been a fly on the wall. I'm just being real. There is no other options. We need to create these options ourselves. And this is one way for us to realistically do that to hopefully, change the social sentiment and financial sentiment within the Juno ecosystem, bring it more balance. So that was one of the bigger reasons why I started this. But it just kind of snowballed into so many other cool benefits from doing it things this way, like organically, right? So again, if you've ever really truly believed that, doesn't matter if you're core one, a validator, a developer, if you've ever truly believed in the origin story that is not Cosmos, the Juno network, of it being a community chain, this balance literally brings that narrative full circle. It completes it for once. It literally completes it to being a truly engaged community chain by introducing balance and letting people get back in control within the community, or at least have some sort of control within the network, right? On how things actually go. Because recently, the past 2 years, we've just been kind of like strapped in for this ride and crossing our fingers and saying our Hail Marys on what happens. Like, right, we'll see decisions being made. There's nothing we can do about it. And we go, well, we hope that works out. This is a way for us to start saying, we've got a little bit of skin in the game now ourselves. And instead of like letting other people dictate how that skin in the game happens, we can kind of control it. So that's one thing. But then you get into some of the other things that also happen. And I'll get into this. Is the part that Chad was saying he loves. And I'm not saying this is like a for sure thing, but we were talking it through and I was like, wait a minute, that's a great idea. Guys, we have one of the, and people will argue this, and I see their point for sure, 100%. With what happened with Takumi and the Prop 16 and the whale tokens, right? A lot of people argue that that's really what put the nail, if not, that's what killed the Juno network, right? Is we literally violated the whole ethos of blockchain to where it's like we took tokens out of somebody else's wallets and confiscated them. right now, if you guys aren't up to date, if you guys don't want to know, like they're sitting there. They're sitting in limbo right now via smart contract. We've literally taken them, but we haven't figured out at all what to do. And guess what? Nobody has even touched that conversation on what to do with it going forward. Well, let me present something to you, okay? It's not, again, it's who knows? Maybe this isn't the end all be all, but let me present something to you going forward, because if somebody else does it, nobody else is. And that's just, unfortunately, what's been happening. So again, what's the saying in crypto? Things don't necessarily have to repeat themselves with rhyme, but guess what? Guys, if nothing's happened, don't expect anything to happen going forward. That's probably what's going to happen. What if to fund this, right, to get the ball rolling, to get this all off the ground, what if we put up a proposal down the road to swap all of those Junos using the balance swap, which will help fund development, right? Help get it in control of these multi-sigs. Hell, let's even invite to, like, honestly, this might ruffle some feathers. Let's invite Takumi to be on one of these multi-sigs. Let's let him do it. Do you guys remember what the price action was when Takumi actually had those tokens? Right? Let's actually invite, let's swap all of those tokens that are just sitting there, not doing anything, but being a menacing threat, you know, both socially and financially. And let's actually figure out what we're going to do with that. Let's swap it using the balance swap. And then let's give it to Takumi. Let's give him access to all of the balance. Let's let him innovate on balance. I have this thought process, a mathematical thought process on like because, you know, obviously people are going to have questions, Chad. Was a lot of them like, how do people get out of balance? How do all this? Well, it only takes somebody to create a liquidity pool on a platform. Guess what? Osmosis Frontier is permissionless. I can take, if I have enough balance and I have enough USDC, I can create a pool. If you do the math, and this was back when Juno was like 50 something cents. But if you did the math, guys, it only take you about $5,000 to create a liquidity pool, which would equate into being roughly about 44,000 balance. Do you know how hard it would be to organically get to that balance amount? But if you're the liquidity provider, and I'm always like, that's my name in the game as an investor, I'm looking for a way to make my liquidity make me more money, right? And it's all, admittingly, it takes people needing to get out for whatever reason, different strokes and folks. There's going to be people that swap for balance. Something happens in their life where they just got to sell. They want to get out there. Something happens. You got to give them a viable route out. If you create liquidity pools, that is definitely one start of a way out, right? You create the liquidity pools. It helps build the market cap or liquidity for balance. You could build balanced liquidity by starting a $5,000 USDC balanced liquidity pool. And if Takumi, and I know he has this money because we all know he was benefiting left and right. Let's just say we give balance, all of it, to Takumi. Let him start a liquidity pool with like $10,000, $20,000. All of a sudden, not only does balance already have valuation because we're not burning the value of Juno, we're just swapping Juno's value of what it has right now into balance token, but now you're creating a huge demand and a huge like use case for balance, the balance token within the Juno network. Now you're kind of gamifying things, and it would behoove the liquidity provider because they're going to make money hand over fist. They could take out their initial, re-put it back in, and just be doubling up and securing long-term profits. Like I'm going to do it. I'll tell you that one right now. If even if the Takumi thing doesn't happen, I'm going to do it because mathematically it makes sense. But anyway, so like that's already two huge ideas that we had for the balance token. Not to mention you could gamify this for any NFT project, past or like future, right? Going forward, you can since we have a scarcity value capture that is much lower than the Juno. There's only 21 million. I think there's like 140 something. I have to go back. A Juno. What is the total markets? What is the total token supply for Juno? Mo, do you remember? Is it like
185 million? And
yeah. So balance only has 21 million. Juno has a shit ton more. Like, guys, you could gamify the balance token all kinds of different ways. But anyway, so I'm getting way ahead of myself. Balance helps a lot of different issues, both socially and financially, that we've been having. Again, for this conversation, if I'm being very honest, not just for the Juno network, it just happens to work perfectly for Juno. Such a great example to use it on. But many other chains. It could be applied to stars. It could be applied to a lot of different chains that have suffered from high inflation, low value capture for the token, and I would say, so I'm trying to pick my words, governance, social governance issues as well. Like, we all know manipulation is a thing, guys. We need to start fixing this stuff, or else we're just gonna, all we're gonna be doing is just like rinsing or repeating the same horror stories. So if we are truly the chain to innovate, let's do that. Let's push the boundaries. Let's get outside our comfort zone. Let's figure this out, right? I think the balance swap feature could definitely do that. There's some caveats, right? Like, people need to come up and step up to the plate and say, hey, I would like to put my name in for a nomination to be on one of these multi-sigs. That's currently where we're at right now. We're needing to eventually find people that want to be on these multi-sigs. But then all we're asking people to do is not swap all of your Juno at one time for balance. That's actually cutting your nose off to spite your face. What we want people to do is this, and this is for people specifically that are still here, not new people. We're specifically talking to people they're at a loss, which about 99 or 98% of everybody right now who are holding Juno and staking it are at a loss. Like, validators who have been investing into running their infrastructure on the Juno network at a loss, like, or who are hoping that something changes for the long term that eventually will bring them into a profitable stance again. Like, guys, we're just asking all of you guys, core members, developers, validators, retail stakers, just take a fraction of your rewards, and instead of swapping it for USDC, because we all know that's what most people are doing, they're swapping it into another asset or stables, right, to pay for infrastructure, to account for some kind of cushion, because it's just been unprofitable, just being real, so far. If you guys actually want to see this long term have a standing chance of growing into anything, you're going to want to even hedge against yourself. You're going to want to swap just a fraction of your Juno into balance. And if everybody from core one, developers, validators, from the higher up to the very low, all just took a fraction, a small sliver, maybe just 5% of whatever you're doing with your swaps in Juno, right, your rewards, and swapped it into balance, over a long period of time, we'll be making a huge difference. A huge difference. And again, I don't care if you're malicious or if you're fully like trying to give it a genuine effort. If you're the abuser, it behooves you to participate in balance, because you're going to want to have this go for the longest time you could possibly go. You're going to want to milk this cow for as long as you possibly can. Some of you guys might be like, I already milked it, whatever. I'm telling you though, why wouldn't you want it to go longer, even if you have ill intent, right? You're going to want to even hedge against the inactivity that has been happening, the lack of innovation that's been happening thus far, right? You're going to want to actually hedge against the, maybe you're coming out of this. I'm not trying to paint this picture, but I'm just being real. Maybe you're wanting to hedge against the people that's been making the decisions thus far and put a little bit of faith in something else, something. But you're going to want to do it, right? Unless, or just sell for a loss. Hopefully not, right? The idea in investing in stuff like that's not to sell for a loss, right? But if you really do think that a permissionless smart contract play or protocol within the Cosmos ecosystem, connected via IBC, that has DAO tooling, which is absolutely freaking fantastic. Anybody can say whatever they want, right? But there was the two narratives. Juno is, this is what everybody puts out to you guys. Juno is the place to innovate and incubate ideas. And then also, Juno is a DAO chain. It's a DAO tooling chain. That's it. How is that? Guys, let's take, well, actually, the three things. And also, it has strong governance, has strong community, right? Let's take the three things that we have that are the strongest things that we have, and let's shine a light on them full force. Let's let's show the power of DAO through these multi-sigs. Let's show the power of community involvement and governance through the balance swap. Let's actually incubate new ideas. Let's get outside of our comfort zone, right? Let's try something new. Let's actually. Why is it set in stone that the same token needs to be the token that just secures the chains, used for transactions, and are what what we use for governance? Why the hell is that the acceptable norm? It's not. It shouldn't be. We've seen how it works out. That doesn't work. We need to have. Let's. Why wouldn't? And maybe it's not balanced, but why wouldn't it be a different token for for just one of those functions? Maybe not for governance. Maybe just keep Juno, right? Whatever. But why is it the hell? Actually, let's vice versa. Maybe one of it's for governance and the other is for transaction. Or maybe Juno is just what we use to secure the chain, but balance and is used for transaction and governance. Because if the higher ups want a piece of balance, you got to swap it at the same rate as everybody else, right? Let's bring balance back. Let's innovate. Anyway, I've been rambling for a crap ton. Chad, I know you've been asking me questions. I love that Mo's here. Maybe you could ask Mo some of those questions as well that you were asking me. But if you guys want to add in onto that, please just stop me because I've been going on for forever now.
You got me pumped up. I'm ready to go now. I'm ready to go swap some balance.
Yeah, just some though, right? Again, don't cut your nose off to spite your face, because the thinking to that, right, is we want to rise the Juno network through balance, and balance through kind of like indirectly will also rise. Not indirectly because it's directly tied, but like through second wind, like we'll actually go along for that ride, right? Like there's going to be a horizon or an event that takes place because we're using the already inflation schedule that's set for Juno. It's just in reverse. There's going to be a point, whether it's a year from now, 2 years from now, right? Hopefully we're doing our thing as far as these multi-sigs go. The Juno working group is doing their things. Core One's doing their things. Everybody on that other side is doing their things. We're all working for the best or the best that we possibly can. There's going to be a point to where that crossing takes place, and that rising tide literally raises all ships. So like we're trying to work with Core One. We're trying to work with the Juno working group. We're trying to work with the Juno growth fund. Like we're trying to work with every possible entity and project and person in the Juno network to literally rise that tide. But there's going to be some effort put into this. There's got to be some sacrifice put into this. We can't expect for us to get pulled out of this deep dug hole that's been dug, admittingly, magically. It's just not going to happen. So we got to get real with ourselves. We got to start thinking long term. We got to start bringing sustainable, maintainable, real solutions to the problems that we have. And instead of ignoring them and acting like, oh, man, oh, well, we got to address those things before we could ever think about like building a skyscraper on our platform, right? It'll happen, but first we got to figure out how do we incentivize developers to stay and more or less come to the Juno network. Then we got to find a way to also at the same time convince people to stay with their stake within the Juno network, right? It's a twofold question. Like it's not just get developers here. We got to freaking convince retail to stay. We got to convince investors to stay. I got B-Bands here as well. What's up, B-Bands? We gotta convince it all. We gotta address all of it, and balance does that. Realistically, does that in a constructive manner, right? B-Bands, how you doing? B-Bands. No, muting. She's quiet. She had fly on the wall.
Oh, I just was trying to find. I have too many links open right now, and so I couldn't find the right one to unmute myself. But I have a good question.
Yes.
So, like, in the spirit of, like, what do you think about the whole gelato thing that happened?
I think that if
Like,
this was in play,
like,
they
you
would
don't
have
have to-
had.
You can be like, I don't want to talk about it, but
No. I said this earlier. I think if balance was in play, and if was already working for at least a few months, at least, that they at least would have had a viable way to somewhere else to turn to other than just being dead in the water. I hated that the fact that it was it ended up being, but the reason why it ended up being the way it was is because there's no other option, and we need to create options, and that's what balance does. So I feel bad. I don't want Gelato to leave. I don't think they should have ever had to leave. I think we should have been thinking about this kind of stuff.
Why? Okay, so why don't you think that they should have never had to leave? Like, and the reason is like I have so many mixed emotions because I can see both sides of as to why they felt that way and why Gelato felt that way. I just felt like it was an overreaction on both sides because I don't know. We need all kinds of people in working in a working group.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just need you can't just have one type of person.
Well, I'm speaking when you ask a question. I am just speaking as like a general Juno Network participant, and not like as somebody that's sitting on Juno working groups, like on the group themselves, on messages. Like
oh, I'm sorry. Did I put
no.
My bad.
No, it's fine. But even that, like like there was you talk about the sort like when people overreacting. When you put up a proposal, like you get the whole community involved, right? And there was some of that too. There was a lot of overreacting there. When I say that they shouldn't have had to go through that, like I do want to also put this caveat out there. If you're a business and whatever, like it's kind of weird because the Juno ecosystem kind of or the Cosmos ecosystem for that matter kind of has you crossing those wires no matter where you are. Like you could be a developer, a validator, a community member, and literally all wear that same hat, and it be justifiably so. Like you can say all that stuff, and it's really hard to separate them. But what I'm trying to say is like Gelato, I guess, should have been thinking about what they're doing, in my humble opinion, as a company. You know, way back, like they maybe could, and it's always easier to say this in hindsight. Like maybe should have been thinking, like, hey, is this sustainable? Should we be preparing ourselves to migrate somewhere else? Like, what is realistically what we're offering in this space right now? And operating, how is it like, if what's there threatening it, and the discussion to raise fees has been something that's been going on for a long time. So it's not like in all fairness, I do want to say it's not like Gelato was like surprised from the rear and like like, oh, we're raising fees and stuff like that, and like not given ample time to think about things. But at the same time, we can't kill innovation. We can't kill, like to your saying and to your regards, the opposing thoughts. Even just because whether we like it or not, it might ruffle our feathers. There needs to be options for those, because we were saying before, like the unfortunate thing for it, and this is the real thing. Gelato needed to get their transactions lowered to make it make sense for them to keep developing here with what they're doing, and or if the proposal didn't work, get subsidized, by some kind of entity to give them a runway to keep developing in Juno Network. Neither one of those were a viable option because there is no other option other than proposal, asking community funds from the community pool, getting a core one like assist, and or something like that. There's no other option other than it is what it is. Balance would have had that option. I don't know if it would have been voted on favorably, but they could have turned to the first multi-sig, and if that didn't work, they could have turned to the balance one because it would have been separated. They would have been multi-sig members on both that had nothing to do with each other, managed completely separate. Right?
I think before I go, I got a question about that. What is the difference between the Juno and the balance multi-sigs?
They're separate.
I mean, is one going to focus in on something or one particular part? Or
the balance one will have a little bit more. And again, Mol and I were talking about this. It could be handled many different ways. We could put in earlier on like a parameter to where the staking rewards that get funneled, like that get put in to that fund. Once we accumulate, whatever the number is, that automatically executes and gets put back into the swap function, and then blah, blah, blah. Or it could be run manually, right? It's up to the multi-sig that's in control over there to figure that out. And then everybody that actually holds balance will have a say in both of those groups. But it's ultimately up to the community on how that actually works, right? We could come up with term limits for the members. We could come up with parameters on how like we feel comfortable at that swap rate. It could be whatever. It really could. That's up to the community. It's not up to Juno governance, though. It's not up to the Juno entities that have been empowered thus far. It's up to the community. Everybody that swapped, you've taken the risk. You've taken the initiative to put the power back into your own hands. So it's they get to say in that. The Juno Development Fund is a little bit more. I would say, if you want to be active but a little bit more passively active, you're probably going to want to be submitting your bid to be on that multi-sig, because that's just kind of like straightforward, right? Like there's a percent that gets funded into the Juno Development Fund. It's kind of like it's going to be there, but like we could again put up parameters via governance through the multi-sig and through the balance token holders on what that looks like as well. Like say we're not going to touch this until we accumulate at least $10,000 worth in the Juno Development Fund before we even accept on new bids for development ask, right? Like whatever it is. Again, it's all separate. It's all separate members. It has its own entities, its own voting, its own DAO structure. They're both up right now, obviously. And admittingly, there's Mole and I are placeholders, because obviously you can't make a freaking DAO without some kind of placeholders on there. But the idea is that we want to bring on people that are going to be also on the multi. We don't want to be the only multi. We want to be just people there, and eventually, hopefully, off of them. Eventually, right? Like if everybody's doing a great job and there's no need for us to be protectors per se, and everybody's acting like good actors, eventually I would like to be off of it. Like, like I don't want to stay on those damn things. But yeah, I think did Chad just leave us? Oh, I think he had to run. But anyway, yeah. So there's a lot of like, there's a lot of nuances and a lot of caveats to this. Obviously, it's going to take some effort to climb our way out of this hole, but at least it's a genuine effort. At least it's an active effort, right? Instead of like a passive cross our fingers. Let's just hope the same thing that's been taking us down this route works out. And again, I'm just going to say, I'm not pointing fingers, but we've seen how that's been going. So yeah. Sorry, I'm ranting.
No, you're not ranting. I just think it's interesting to watch people who want to work together kind of like still pick birds of a feather. Do you know what I mean? Like,
oh, you mean with the working group? Let me go back to sharing this off this flow chart.
yeah.
Oh, Mo, I'm sorry, Mo. I didn't realize that you dropped in your back. I'm sorry, Mo. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still there. I feel like I'm always getting like it lags, and then I don't hear anything like every 5 minutes.
I'm
But
so sorry.
I have to leave in
This
like
shit is
10
weird.
minutes. So
Okay. Let's take that 10 minutes, because Mo, again, I'm so smooth brained with a lot of things. I just came up with the theory, the thought process, the overall arcing rainbow per se, but like definitely Mo has helped me put this all together to present to everybody. Is there anything, I guess I would say, Bands or Mo, that you want to say that you think people might have questions about, that you want to kind of like front run and answer right now? Or maybe Bands, if you want to ask Mo, like, hey, what's this look like? Or
So I was kind of curious because we do have the Maneki, and we'll do the Maneki NFTs give you any kind of perk with being because how like some other chains are like you got our NFT, you got like extra multipliers or whatever.
we thought about that, and again, for this to work, like many things, and maybe a lot of people that may know me probably already know this, but there can't be anybody that benefits from this tremendously. There can't be like some alley oop, some freaking leg up, or like some hidden thing. All of this has already been put on GitHub. Everything is fully transparent on how it works. Nobody gets an extra. Like if I want balance, I gotta swap for it at the same rate that you gotta swap for it, the same rate that Core One members gotta swap for it, and so on. There can't be like this multiplier, or say to really fix the core problems that, or again, not just the Juno problems, but throughout all of these chains, right? Like there can't be these multipliers and alley ups and favors per se. I wish there was. Trust me, being a Maneki, I really wish that we could have. But this, if we really want to be honest with ourselves, it just can't be. And even more, like I'll say, a lot of people have asked, like like who am I making money off this? I'm not. There's nothing in it for me. The only people that'll get subsidized at all or get any kind of money financially from this would be the smart contract developers who are nurturing and caretaking the contract as it needs to be updated, and that would obviously be Molin's app for the time being. But even then, if you do the math and if you look at the GitHub, it's it's peanuts. Like it's not even worth, to be very honest, Mo. I may have said this to you before, but like it's not even worth the time that you spent to help me do this. To be honest, even if it caught on, it's like a couple of $100 if you're lucky.
Yeah, and I think the idea behind it was not to really make money out of it, because it's just a matter of having some sort of fees. Because like if you would swap like 100,000 Juno, I think the dev wallet would receive like $800, but that's
Yeah.
100,000 Juno. That's a lot of money. But it's only because, like, let's say this morning we just added like to transfer your balance token and stuff like that. It's just we could have removed it, but it was just we decided to add it because it's like a swap. Like other dexes have like this 0.3 percent swap fee, so we just put it there just because. But still, if at some point like this is working pretty well, like you said, it can be changed. Like it's not us that needs to stay there forever. Everything is open source and people can do whatever they want. But the other thing I wanted to mention is I think we're going like iteratively. Like it's a first draft, and maybe I told you about this like several times. Like if we want to change anything in a smart contract, we want to change anything like in the multi-sig, or we can do whatever we want. Like at the end of the day, it's like okay, it's we just needed a base or some sort of baseline, something to start with, so the community can provide feedback and they can just change whatever they want. So it's something pretty flexible. The way it is built, we can do whatever we want. So like a launch pad or anything else could be built on top of it. Like you said, like take balance for fees on Juno Network. It can become, you can use balance like on Osmosis. You can do whatever you want. So it's at the end of the day, if it's needs people to participate and build something out of it. So the foundation is there. Just have to build on top of it.
Yeah, it's just people, like in my humble opinion, it's just people saying, you know what, I don't want to say it like this, but it's just people like coming to a point where saying, why not? It's all like there's nobody here is getting, and actually before going further,
Do
I
you
was
know?
thinking of this
I'm
earlier,
sorry.
like multi-sig, like if the core one members or even like any other developer ultimately down the road, right? Like wants that could even change too for like the developers too. Like there could, if you guys want security and like all this other stuff, we could, that could become a multi-sig too, to where it's like if we're following inflation, it's the only time that it's going to need to be updated is right, like is ideally is when the inflation schedule changes, which is like once a year. So like there's not a lot of crazy work, but if we want to innovate and stuff like that, or if people bring like added ideas, like even the Zap and Mo, like they've told me, like it could expand into being a multi-sig for the developers, and then to execute like any kind of changes and stuff like that, like right, everybody would feel a lot better about that. Like, you know, yeah, I mean, there's this is just a base, like Mo was saying. Go ahead, Vance. Did I cut you off, Vance? You still there?
No, I'm still here. I had to shut off the camera because the little girl was coming around here. With
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
I was like, go play in the park, little girl.
Yeah. I got mine sitting over there because they were acting like animals.
Yeah, the big one took the little one to the park.
There you go. I can't wait for them.
So no, the only reason I was asking is because like sometimes it's your core members and the people that have like stayed around that they do want to like reap benefits, you know what I mean? And they do want to have that like little edge up because it's almost like loyalty program. Like you've been loyal,
Yeah.
so we want to give you. And I think that's why I asked that. I wasn't trying to be like, you need to give me something.
No, yeah, I get it.
I
Trust
meant
me,
it
I
like,
get it.
it's nice having those loyalty things because when you mint one project, right? And then that project collabs with another project and says, hey, just FYI, you have like free mint for their, or you can mint on their project under the, private mint.
Mhm.
it's like a little special thing, you know, and
Yeah,
it
it's an
kind of gives
incentive. It's an
value. It
incentive.
gives a little bit more value to the original, you know, or the project that you're involved with.
Yeah, yep. I know. I trust me. I get it. But like I said, I think a lot of times, and you know, I will. I'm trying to be very very brutally honest. Mo, by the way, if you do have to leave, I really do appreciate just interrupting and let me know. But um, thinking about all of those things, like I think it's a double edged sword, right? Like everybody knows me. I want sustainable, maintainable, realistic growth for business opportunities, and like I look at Juno as a one. It's a business, right? Like all of this is all big business, and the same rules should all apply. Uh, Business money, it doesn't matter. Like it should all still be the same. I don't know why we look at it separately. Those small incentives and stuff like that are good earlier on, but you know, we need to figure out ways to really incentivize people long term instead of short term. Here's my thing to that. Again, I'll kind of like I'm speaking to you core members directly right now. Core members, anybody that's gotten huge allocations or like validators that got bumped up, then you guys are getting like these nice I want to say nice, but at one point nice rewards and stuff like that. Like obviously you guys took an investment, validator specifically, into validating a chain because you were hoping that it would be a viable business venture financially going forward long term. Same thing with developers and all this other stuff. Like, right, you guys may have gotten a lot of money and stuff like that. Core members too. You guys may have like done very well. But if you guys literally want this to keep going, it would behoove you to even like bet against yourself per se and kind of like hedge against yourselves and the direction that we've been going. Like it would behoove you to do this even just a smidget of with your rewards, right? Like I'm not talking to anybody new that hasn't bought into Juno. I'm just talking about to all the people that have been in, that have invested some, that have a larger allocations or even small allocations. It would behoove you long term to just take a sliver of your rewards, however you do it, whether it's weekly, daily, whatever it is, and swap it into balance. Because if you guys really want the Juno network to be something that is long term profitable, again, ever, you're gonna need to do something. Like let's just be real about it, right? Let's so yeah, if you like, I guess that's my kind of pitch to you guys. And stop thinking that like other people can't see this through. Like I'm just like I'm humbly asking, not going to war. This is me humbly asking, not just core one, core two, validators, developers, but I'm asking everybody, retail people, take a chance on something bigger than yourself. That's all it is. Anyway, anyway. Any other questions? Anybody got anything else they need to say? I've been kind of rambling for a long time.
I like when you ramble because I get to just like listen and oh hi.
Oh, look at this Smuggy Smug. What you doing, man? This is not marbles on stream. I just noticed that. I've been in a wrong category this whole damn time. But anyway, guys,
When did this space start?
this space started literally about an hour and 10 minutes ago. So doing not too bad. I wanted to have this conversation. Admittingly, Mo, I guess we'll have to go. Thank you, Mo, for sticking around. I know I rambled a lot. I was really hoping to get a lot more people, and I do want to actually. I was going to say this just now. I do want to have this open conversation with the Juno Communication SubDAO, the working group, the core members, multiple validators. Like I'd like to invite the entirety of this space to have a true ask me anything, ask each other, like coming to Jesus moment instead of like, I guess you know what I'm talking about, guys. This whatever we've been having, to kind of like talk through balance DAO. This isn't an effort to usurp, to politically or financially posture in. This has no benefit to me, man. Like honestly, no benefit to me whatsoever to do this. Just all I want to see is Juno have a fighting chance to actually survive, and or if at all possible. I don't even know if it's possible to right our wrongs, but turn this ship somewhat away from the damn icebergs that it's headed into. Like, and I'm just being real about it.
Well, you say you think Juno's a Titanic?
If it's on the trajectory, if I'm being honest right now, and you're on these working groups, you're on the working group, you're active in
I had to
governance.
go. I had to go. They kicked the whole gelato crew out.
Oh, they did. I didn't even know that. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. I thought they just said Rigsby. I didn't know they kicked the whole people, everybody out. That's
No, it was
unfortunate.
everybody.
That's unfortunate. But
Yeah. So
again, like let's be real. Like let's you can look at proposed governance. You can look at the Juno communication sub. I'm not talking bad about any of these, but I'm just being real. There is no path being presented right now currently for Juno. There's talks about DAO going on this, outpost here, there, whatever, but there's no viable path that's been thought up thus far and being talked about or presented in any kind of way when it comes to the Juno network at all. There's not. And I get it's baby steps. I even told the Juno working group, I was like, before I start putting out like on a mass scale of what's happening with balance, I'd like to talk to all of you guys so that you guys have a general better gist about what we're trying to do, what I'm trying to do for the Juno network and what I'm presenting. And I was actually told, and I actually agreed to this, so I kind of feel bad to wait until after the next meeting, which is supposed to be tomorrow in the morning, to kind of present it to anybody that wants to stick around. But I was like, you know what? I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not like trying to position myself for any kind of financial benefit or anything like that. I'm not like at all. So why am I putting off something that is the betterment, in my humble opinion, to the entire ecosystem of Juno? I don't understand why I would have to wait. Like I just didn't understand. So, and I'm also like with everything that happens in life, unsure that I can make some of these. I haven't even been able to get into some of these meetings because I'm a full-time business owner. I'm a dad, and I have multiple other things of interest that I want to go do. I can't be holding to like everybody else's time frames just because. Like I gotta do me.
and that's a bummer because like some people are available all the time.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And I'm not trying to be like I have no life or anything like that. Like my life kind of revolves around what's going on in crypto. That's
yeah.
just the truth.
Well, I mean, but
So I
to
spend
kind
a lot
of
of time here. I don't work a traditional job. I hang out in Web3 spaces.
Mhm.
Do you know
No, I
what I
got you.
mean?
Yeah, I got, but
So
kind of
like,
like,
and then I had to leave because they kicked the gelato team out, and I just felt like
which I thought it was just the vote for Rigsby. To be honest with you, that's the first time I've heard of
it
that.
was.
I
But
haven't even
then
looked.
okay, all right, hold on. I do got to tell you something though.
We're live.
One
So
second, one second. I'm gonna tell you something.
wait, you're muted now. Wait, she's muted.
No, my phone, my I'm trying to remember where. Oh, okay. I got to get my laptop charger.
Yeah, yeah,
I didn't know where it was for a second. And I was like, where's my laptop charger? Because I moved this thing around.
yeah.
I'm going
Good.
to go grab that. And then I got something to tell you real quick.
Okay. She, I don't have nothing. Yeah, gotta go. Thanks, Kelly. Thank you, everybody that's been in chat. I see you guys. But to do another point, like crypto doesn't sleep either, or wait for that matter, right? So like I figured, why am I? I don't know. Like I think it behooves everybody. There's so many cool applications like Ray, working with Y Foundry. Like we could start managing stuff in the multi sigs with Y Foundry. All these things could be like battle tested for once. Anyway, there she's back. She's back. What you got for
All
us?
right. So I'm part of the core gelato group, right? Like I'm part of the core group. I'm not like just hang out there. So they said that they wanted to kick the gelato team out. Right? Well, they actually just said in the chat that they wanted to kick Risby out.
It was Risby, from what I understood.
However, Reese did the entire gelato team, including Risby, the entire team with Risby, but not me, because everybody still wanted me to hang out there because I'm a peaceful person. I listen. I only ask questions.
Yeah.
I only ask questions when I think I need to like help me understand. And I also take a lot of notes. And then if I'm asked, I have information that I can give. You know what I mean? So I'm just kind of like a stenographer, I'm nothing. I'm nothing.
No,
You know,
I
So here's the thing though. So
Go
they
ahead.
did that. They kicked all of them except for me out because they wanted me to still hang out, which I wanted to continue. However, I'm not part of the Juno gelato with the, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
then
yeah, 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 yeah.
you know
Yeah,
what I
you
mean?
can't. Yeah, you can't be doing. Yeah, I get it. No, I get it. And to be very
So
fair,
so then I was like, okay, so I have to kind of do what's right and follow the team out. I put that message. I was like, well, I didn't want to leave, but if you kick the whole crew out, I guess I got to go with them.
yeah, and which I will say again, like I thought,
And I thought
I
he
thought
shouldn't
that
have kicked
the
the whole
vote
crew
was
out because
for.
it was just supposed to be Risby.
Yeah,
It
and
was,
see that
and
it's
it
funny.
was, it's nothing
I have
against
a working
Risby.
group meeting with them tomorrow at 8 or something like that in the morning.
I think you
And
should say
I'm going to
something
bring it
because
up.
Risby, because this guy came up in the working chat and he was like, "Oh, you need to kick the gelato team out of the chat." And then Reese went in and did that, but the only person that had officially been voted out
Was Rigsby?
was
Yeah,
Risby.
yeah,
The
yeah,
other ones of us have just been quiet, have been listening,
yeah.
have been learning. Because here's the thing: how am I supposed to know what the temperature is in the atmosphere? How am I supposed to understand and learn how developers behave?
I saw that quick reaction, and I think it was Reese. You're absolutely right. That like quickly after, I think it was said something to. I want to say this. I've been a fly on the wall because of my position in Juno working group is not to the point now where any of my expertise in life or what I have as far as my skill sets is needed. So I've
Yeah,
just been
because
kind of like
they're economics.
I no I get, yeah, it's
Let me
like
tell you
political
something.
and
You
stuff like
know
that
the
as well.
conversation that they're having is
Yeah,
like,
I no, but like I just but so like until they actually formalize whatever they call it constitution and then like these groups that we're all supposed to split off to, I felt like I was like, oh, what am I confused? And then like I said, I have like a life, like I can't be sitting like so. I saw that stuff and like I followed it because I was like, oh my god, let's see what this happens here. And yeah, you're absolutely right. And for me, guys, I'll be honest, Journal Working Group, I thought the vote was straight up. I'm gonna say I thought it was. The vote was straight up for removing Risby, not the gelato team. We
yes.
talked about that.
And
We
we're
literally didn't talk
individual
about that.
community
And then
members of Juno. Why do we all have to
I
be kicked
saw
out?
Reese quickly said I don't know what the exact verbatim was, and I'm not gonna bring it up right now, but it was like done. And like insinuating that like the people were removed. And I was like, I just didn't think anything of it because I was like, I'm just gonna do my thing or whatever. But that's interesting. I thought you guys were still. That's why I said to you, you're part of it. I thought you were still in
It
there.
was
I don't look at
just
it as
me, and I only had to leave because I'm part of the gelato group. It would have been nice if they would have clarified and said, this is
Yeah.
not as individual community members
Yeah,
and
I-
contributors.
I
You
agree.
guys, like Daniel is a developer. He's a builder. He's like, like why
Not to
would
say
you want
Raceme's not
to
sharp, but
not
like
in the
the
group?
whole entire gelato
So
team is like very nice to
it's not
talk
a
to.
completely fair thing. The
No,
whole
I
thing
got
is
yeah.
not fair.
I agree. I'm right there with you. I'm definitely gonna ask tomorrow. I'm gonna be like, hey, so why we kick out all of gelato? Because I thought it was just for Rigsby, man. I'm being dead serious. And Gino working group, like I'm being real. I don't like everything. I'm there when I can, man. But yeah, that's not cool. That's not cool at all.
Yeah, like I really would have loved to have stayed, but if you're kicked the whole group out, like I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, you kind of like you got to do what you got. You got to
Obligated.
go with the crew, man. Um. Anyway, that's a good point. I did want to kind of. We're a little over an hour. I did want to kind of keep it to just balance, but I do like. I would like to have Gelato come and talk about balance with us along
Well,
with
listen. Okay,
everybody
so
else.
listen, Tank. Okay,
Oh,
so
I saw. Wait, hold on. I saw
at
the wait, wait, wait.
5:30, we're having a fun, like we're having a space that we can talk about whatever we want to.
I won't
So,
be
like,
here.
if you
5:30
want to, I sent
Pacific
you the
or
link. If
Eastern or
you want to
when?
come in, like, talk a little bit about balance, and then people can ask you some questions.
Is it Eastern? What 5:30 Eastern?
5:30 Eastern, so it's at an hour from now. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, an
I
hour.
I
less
might be able to. I got what 4:30, 5:30. I got my kids class. It would have to be earlier on in the conversation because I teach
So
the
yeah,
kids
you can
class.
hop in the beginning for a little bit if you want, and maybe like if we're still going a little bit later, Lord Ginge is gonna play some music. We're just gonna talk about whatever, and this is a hot topic right now. So
Yeah, no, I was gonna say I had brought it up earlier, and I actually had it saved, and I was gonna do a regular stream, but like I wanted to talk about obviously balanced out and stuff like that. Oh, here, let me bring it up. Let me bring it up right here. So this was and I was like, I saw it snuck down in there, and I was like, look at gelato making me all happy about stuff. Let me share with you guys. Okay, this is my entire screen. So this was just recently, right? Like Rigsby and Gelato retweeted this. So this is like their I don't know if you guys can see this very well. The picture of like their validators and how it all feeds back right to their GLTO token, their NFT royalties for their NFT projects, their platforms in game. Like so again, I really like Gelato because they are like regardless of what if people agree with what they're building as far as like utilization, if they want to participate on it, whatever, they are literally thinking of it like as a really good structure on how to feed it all back to GLTO. I've always liked that about that. But if you look back down here, you see this little symbol? That's the balanced DAO symbol, baby. I was like, I saw it and I was like, what the fuck is what? So cool. Like again, that's what I'm talking about. Every validator, like let's just say your validator should have this symbol on there. You should be hedging your bet. Like if you want to stay in that validator to keep going, you got to start doing something, man. You got to start doing something. So like shout outs to Gelato. Like look, I just want what's best for the Juno network in its entire. I've always wanted that from the spirit. Damn it, Bands. You were with me with the spirit of Juno. I fucking
Dude,
I don't know.
man,
what
I
you
got
guys
flack for that, but I was like, listen,
Yeah,
fuck you. I trust Tank.
everybody, like guys, I don't know. Have this saying where you can't live off your past victories. You can't stand on old podiums. Every single day, you need to prove yourself, even to yourself, every single day on what you're all about. I like, I look, man. You guys keep going with the same old, same old. I'm just saying, it's all just like Spirit of Juno. It was all transparent. It's all there. Don't trust, verify. Take matters into your own hands. You guys want to make change? Put in your bid to be elected on one of these multi-sigs. For
Yo,
real.
that shit is stressful. The thought of putting your name down to be elected on a
It's super
multi-sig.
stressful. But people are vocal all the time on social media. I'll tell you right now, people come out of the woodworks to fund me. Put half of that effort into put 25%
I don't know.
of that same effort into being on a multi-sig. It's easy. Just say yes or no. You don't like something? Vote no. You like something? Vote yes. You don't even have to say shit. Just bring your, fuck.
So
God's sakes.
who's elected themselves so far to be on the multi-sig?
Well, I haven't put out enough. And this is like my first real effort. I put two other spaces together. But this is if I'm being honest, my first real effort into getting the word out there for balanced style. But hopefully, like as more and more people hear about it within the Juno ecosystem, more and more people will say, "Hey, look, no, this actually makes sense." And I have maybe not myself, but multiple ideas. Other people, you don't have to like put in your own bid. Other people could put you up for nomination, right? But it has to go through, to be fair as possible, it has to go through an election process of by the people, for the people, right? Like nothing's like ever going to be the one shoe that fits all, that kills everything and like makes everything perfect. There's going to be ups and downs to this. There's going to be struggles. It's going to be work. I get it. It will be. I'm not trying to say it's not.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you want to live longer?
Do I want to live longer?
Or
If
do
I
you
did,
not care about
I'd walk away from Juno,
about
probably.
your like end date?
For like my lifespan.
Yeah.
If I did, I'd walk away from Juno probably, and all this effort I put into it. But I guess not. I don't know. Wait.
Because
What
there's
did the
this
Highlander
guy,
say? What did the
Mister.
Highlander
There's
guy
this
say?
guy trying to extend his life with this blueprint shit, and he lives this super regular. You know what I'm talking about? Would you get on the blueprint regimen so to extend your life?
No, I'm like Kerrigan from Highlander. It's better to fucking burn out and then fade away, damn it. One of my favorite freaking bad guys in anything, guys.
I'm like,
Kerrigan.
I'd like to take some of his I would like to do some of his regimen. Like, I don't have to live like so much longer, just a little bit longer.
Just a little bit longer. I just want to, while I'm living my early 40s, into my 50s and 60s, not hurt as much. I could die in 70s. It's fine. I just want, like, whatever. I'm just going to enjoy this time.
Listen,
but
okay,
do
so
wanna,
I went to a birthday party and they had pools at the end of each they played dodgeball and they had pools at the bases.
yeah.
So you had to run and slide into the pool for your base.
Did it hurt?
But
Everything
it's not made for old people. Like, you know what I mean? Like I wanted to play the game, but I was like,
Everything
no,
hurt.
I can't do that. That
You
would
looked
hurt
at
me.
slide and you're like, fuck that. I'm gonna gently come down.
All right, I'll let you close it out. My
Yeah, I
bad.
gotta close it out. Bads, I'll hopefully be on your guys' space. Yeah, send me a link if you I'll be on the lookout for it though. But guys, that's balanced out. Why not, right? I'm gonna be coming it hot and heavy for next week talking about this and then beyond. So come at me. You got questions, come at me. Peace, bands. Later.